You've invested a lot of money on supplements to help support your hot flashes, and you are still overheating. So now you have a drawer full of, I thought this could work. Your black cohosh, your evening primrose oil, maybe a jar of wild yam cream, maybe even something with balance and hormones in the label that you bought at 11 o'clock at night on an Amazon shopping spree, and your body just ignored it. Here's the problem. Most supplements that are marketed for hot flashes aren't actually targeting what's causing them. There are two systems driving most hot flashes that virtually nobody talks about. And until you fix those, no supplement is going to make a difference. Before we talk about supplements, we need to cover one remedial piece of biology. Your brain has a thermostat, the hypothalamus, and it works very similarly to the thermostat on your wall. When it gets outside a certain range on a temperature you set, the thermostat is triggered and either the heat comes on or the air conditioning. With hot flashes, that's our body's signal that we're too hot and we need to immediately cool down. And that's when the sweating starts. As estrogen declines, that range around the temperature gets more narrow. So your system is already becoming a lot more sensitive. Add stress, cortisol goes up, more sensitivity. Add on blood sugar swings, same thing, greater sensitivity. So what was already a reduced window is now a hair trigger reactive thermostat. That's your hot flash. And once you see this, you'll understand exactly why the supplements you were so hopeful would alleviate your symptoms just can't work, and which ones actually have a chance at supporting your symptoms. Let's start with some of the more popular supplements. These fall into estrogen mimickers, phytoestrogens, and hormonal support. Black cohosh. Black cohosh is one of the most well-studied supplements for hot flashes. Some studies show a small reduction, others show no difference from a placebo. And sometimes, even when it helps, it's often improving overall symptoms like sleep or mood. It's not directly reducing the hot flashes themselves. It also doesn't act like estrogen in a straightforward way. It's not an estrogen replacement. It's not a hormone replacement therapy. It likely works through the brain and nervous system. So it lightly mimics it, but not replaces it. So if you feel better taking black cohosh, that makes sense. Keep at it. I don't want to take it away from you. But if your goal is to reliably reduce hot flash intensity and severity, black cohosh is probably not the best place to start. Now let's talk about evening primrose oil. And the evidence here is even weaker. There are some small studies that show a slight improvement in how intense the hot flashes can get, but not how often they happen. And biologically, this makes sense. It contains GLA, which plays a role in regulating inflammation, not directly to temperature regulation. So it may help with things like breast tenderness or general inflammation, but it's not targeting the drivers of your hot flashes. Now let's get into wild yam, which is often sold within a cream. Wild yam contains a compound called diastenin, which can be converted to progesterone in a lab setting using specific chemical processes that your body just can't replicate. So you can apply this cream every day, all day long, and your progesterone is not going to change. You're better off just getting a really good moisturizer. Now, the marketing on wild yam cream is incredibly impressive, and I respect the effort. The biology, however, just does not cooperate. Each of these are weak estrogen mimics. They don't replace estrogen. They just kind of lightly interact with it or with the receptors. Whether or not they work depends on three things: where you are hormonally, whether your gut can activate them, and what the study is actually measuring. Some women do get a small benefit, and many get absolutely nothing. And when they help, it's often improving sleep or mood and not actually reducing the hot flashes themselves. So if you've tried these and nothing changed, the issue is not you. The target was off. If you want a smarter place to start with supplements for hot flashes, it's this. Calm the nervous system, stabilize the blood sugar, Stop chasing estrogen like it's the only piece in the puzzle. If you shift those three things, you can change the intensity or frequency of your hot flashes. And we'll build this into a tiered approach and a protocol toward the end of this video. Most women skip what I'm about to tell you. They already dove into the estrogen supporting supplements that I just covered. And that's usually where things stall. But you're gonna be one step ahead. So let's talk about what actually works. Magnesium glycinate. Magnesium helps regulate your nervous system. It supports your slow things down pathways and improves sleep. A calmer system equals less reactivity and fewer hot flashes. So what to do? Typically 200 to 400 milligrams at nighttime. Magnesium glycinate is subtle, but over a few weeks, it adds up and provides a lot of support. Vitamin D, often in the form of D3 with K2. A lot of midlife women are low on vitamin D and don't even know it. Lower levels are associated with more frequent and more severe hot flashes. Not because it treats hot flashes directly, but because it affects how reactive your system is. Test your levels. Even if they're on the low end but still within range, you may benefit from vitamin D supplementation because optimal ranges are very different than minimal ranges. Supplement based on your actual numbers. No guessing here. Omega-3s. This is highly underrated but very useful. Omega-3s help reduce inflammation and stabilize brain signaling. Some data shows improvements in mood and reductions in hot flash frequency. Your best fit is if your baseline diet is not strong or if inflammation is already high. One note of caution, if you're considering omega-3s, check first with your provider if you are on blood thinners. Adaptogens. And if stress is part of your picture, this is something that matters. Adaptogens can help regulate your cortisol response, which directly affects your thermostat sensitivity. So a couple of options here: ashwagandha, which supports stress and aids better sleep, and rhodiola, which also supports stress but fatigue as well. Now, a caution here: adaptogens are not for everyone. Ashwagandha should be used with caution if you have thyroid conditions, and rhodiola can be stimulating for some. But if adaptogens are something you can tolerate, this is a huge piece to the puzzle and often where we see things start to shift. So now that we've covered stress, let's talk about blood sugar. If you have afternoon crashes, post-meal fatigue, or you consistently wake up at 3 a.m., pay attention here. Blood sugar swings, especially when you go from a peak down to a low, triggers cortisol. Cortisol triggers your thermostat. So blood sugar can also play a role in your hot flashes. Options when it comes to stabilizing or balancing blood sugar and support: berberine improves insulin resistance. Myo-inositol supports signaling and reduces anxiety. So a couple of cautions here. Berberine interacts with some medications. Start low because GI side effects are common early on. If you're already on a low carb or no carb diet like keto or carnivore and have stabilized metabolically, blood sugar support may not be something that you need to consider. But if you do have blood sugar swings, this is something that could be a really helpful piece to managing your hot flashes. Now let's talk about the gut and phytoestrogen reality check. And this is quick but important. Not everyone should jump right into probiotics. If your gut is already reactive, maybe you have a lot of bloating, histamine issues, inflammation, a growing number of food sensitivities, then adding the wrong probiotic can make things worse. This also can explain why phytoestrogen research is inconsistent, because your gut dictates how well you can activate them. So again, this isn't random. You can supplement all you want with phytoestrogens, but your gut has to be in a place where it can utilize them effectively. All right, now we're gonna get into some of the advanced supplements, meaning that these should be done with labs only. And the first of which is DHEA. Now, DHEA sits at the beginning of the steroid hormone pathway. It can support downstream hormone production and may reduce hot flashes in some women. But this is not try it and see kind of supplement. You should test first. If you can find a practitioner near you that will run a Dutch panel, this will give you some strong insight as to where in the steroid hormone pathway things are working effectively or sluggish, and whether or not DHEA might be something that you would benefit from. Wrong use can make things worse. DHEA can be very valuable, but it needs context, not trial and error. Melatonin. Many of us think of melatonin as a supplement that supports better sleep, but it also interacts with your thermostat. Here, most people are taking too much. Oftentimes you see melatonin sold in 5 milligram or 10 milligram capsules, but for many, they need a much lower dose. And melatonin I think of as almost like a Goldilocks supplement. So it's too little, you get nothing. Too much can make your symptoms worse, and that dosage varies with different people. So you want to start as low as you can, maybe half to 1 milligram, and adjust until you find your just enough for me dose, not the highest dose. And the final one in terms of more advanced is Vitex, and this has a very specific use case. Vitex is not for all women, but it works really well for those women in early perimenopause, not later stage hot flashes, because it is best for cycle irregularity and PMS type symptoms. So if you use it in the right context or not at all. So let's talk about supplementation from a standpoint of where you would start, how to sequence, and how to grow. Because we don't start taking a bunch of supplements all at once. So tier 1 would be your foundational supplements. These are supplements that are going to be beneficial or easily tolerated by most women. So this would include your magnesium glycinate, your vitamin D3 and K2, and your omega-3s. If you're not already taking these, pick one, start with a low dose, and add until you reach the recommended daily dosage or the threshold that works for you before you add the second supplement. One supplement at a time, work on the dosing before you add another supplement. So tier 1 was vitamin D and K2, magnesium glycinate, and omega-3s. Tier 2 is really based on your particular patterns. If you have stress, adaptogens work really well here. If you have issues with blood sugar balance, berberine and myo-inositol work well here. And if you have both, well, you can address both. But remember, one supplement at a time until you reach the optimal dosage for you. Tier 3 is where you would pull in your hormonal support supplements. So this is your black cohosh, evening primrose oil, and your Vitex. So remember, black cohosh may be beneficial. It is showing some good support in research studies, but it is mixed. Evening primrose oil has had some beneficial findings, but it tends not to target hot flashes directly. And Vitex could be good if you are early perimenopause and still having issues with cycle irregularity or a lot of PMS symptoms. So that would be the tier 3 optional support. And finally, tier 4 is your more advanced. So these are the supplements that really benefit from having lab work to establish your baseline levels. This is your DHEA and the melatonin. So remember, one supplement at a time, work on the dosing before you add in another supplement. You're going to need to build upon this for a couple of weeks, and then once you have everything in place, start evaluating, track your symptoms, track your progress, track any side effects to see what's working. Hot flashes are not random. At least you know they're not now. And while it may have seemed like they were random and unpredictable before, now you should be able to start seeing some patterns. And once you understand the pattern, you stop guessing. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and consider sharing with another woman out there that needs to hear this. And tell me in the comments what pattern sounds most like you: stress, blood sugar, or both. I know for me, it's definitely stress. I'm Erica Christine. Thank you for watching another episode of the Midlife Health Detective, and I will see you next week.